Morning, folks. This is Ringo again. It's November 14th, 2017. I've got just under 100 days left to my through hike, and I'm going to go over my gear list today. I'm going to do it in chunks, so I'm not going to have everything splayed out at the same time. I'm going to try to go through it in different categories. So the first category is going to be the big three. So we'll go over my pack, my sleep system, and my tent. I have already done an in-depth or fairly in-depth review of my quilt and my tent, so I'm not really going to go over those things again. I'm just going to kind of breeze through them, but hopefully this will help somebody out. I've put a lot of thought into this gear list, and one thing to remember, this gear list is tailored around me leaving the middle of February. So there's some things on my gear list that if you're leaving March, April, even into May, that you're not going to have. If there's any questions, just leave them down in the comments. But we'll begin. We're going to start with my pack. My pack is the Z-Packs Arc Haul. So it's a ultralight backpack, and it weighs 26.6 ounces, the way mine is set up. So it's a great pack. I absolutely love it. I've got about 100 miles on it now, and I know that may not be much to some, but I really do like it. There's a couple features that I like about it. It's very adjustable. You can tailor it to fit you to make it comfortable. The other thing about a lot of ultralight packs is they don't have a lot of padding, but this pack has a ton of padding on it. You can see how thick that is, and it's very good quality foam, and it's very comfortable. It's got load lifters. It has a carbon fiber frame, which most ultralight packs are frameless. It has a hip belt with very good padding, and I added an extra lumbar pad onto mine. I did that because I'm a little concerned about the sizing of the belt. It's not really for comfort, although it does help out quite a bit. I also added 2 of the belt pouches, and look at these things. These things are humongous. It's amazing. They're waterproof as well, with waterproof zippers on the top. I keep my water filtration system, which we'll go over later, in one pouch, and then the other is just for snacks, food, and anything else I have for the day. I also purchased a harness or a shoulder pouch, but I didn't like it, so I'm not gonna use it. I'm not gonna keep it on. So maybe that'll change. Maybe I'll have my wife send it to me eventually, but I didn't like it. It just kind of stuck up in my face, and I just didn't care for it. So just, a couple things I've got on my pack. Hand sanitizer. I've got a simple compass and a thermometer. Those are just things that I've put on my pack. But again, this pack is, according to Z-Pack's website, it is highly water resistant. So they don't claim it to be waterproof, although most people do. Most people who have used it have had no issues unless they get a little pinhole in them or it wears in a spot. Having said that, I am not carrying a pack cover. I don't plan to put anything on the outside of my pack that can't afford to get wet. So, a couple features about this pack. It's got the mesh outer pocket, which is huge. It seems delicate, but really it's not. I haven't had any issues, and I've been stuffing all kinds of different things in there. So, again, along those same lines as I'm not carrying a pack cover, but I am going to carry a trash compactor bag. This trash compactor bag is going to be my pack liner, and just kind of just a secondary form of waterproofing. I also keep most of my stuff in waterproof stuff sacks, which we'll go over later. All right, so that's my pack. Again, as I've got it laid out, it's 26.6 ounces. Again, it's a great pack. I love it. I'm very happy with it. All right, so moving on to my tent. I've already covered my Z-Packs tent. I'm not going to go over it again, but this is the Z-Packs Duplex tent. It is a very good tent, and it weighs, the way I have mine set up, with stakes and everything included, is 25.8 ounces. One thing I didn't go over when I did my review was my stakes. So I have two different types of stakes. I have the ultralight shepherd's hooks, and I use these for all the corners and the sides. And so I have 6 of these. And then I bought the beefier Y stakes from Z-Packs. You could use MSR groundhogs as well. It's all the same. But I use these for the 2 guy lines that come off my trekking poles, just so that, you know, the tent doesn't fall. But I have found that I did have a bunch of the titanium Y stakes, and I couldn't get them in the ground in some spots. And that's why I switched to the shepherd's hooks for the most part, because they were easier to get into the ground. And I'm assuming I'm going to have that same issue when I leave during the winter. Trying to get stakes in frozen ground is going to be difficult. So, but these are for peace of mind and protection from wind and things like that. And on the spots where it's not so important, I'm using the shepherd hooks ones. Another thing I've added is a ground cloth. I'm still up in the air about whether I'm going to take this on my thru hike or not. The reason I got it is because about 2/3 of the time packing up my tent, where I've been setting up, is the bottom has just been muddy and wet. And I'm trying to avoid some of that to keep, you know, I don't want to stuff my tent back in its stuff sack all muddy. It's not the wet part, I'm not real concerned about that, but it's the mud. So I figured I'd rather get the ground cloth muddy and dirty, and then I can just put that on the outside of my pack. So I'm kind of up in there. It's 3.3 ounces, so that's not, you know, the end of the world, certainly. But, you know, I'm just not sure if I'm going to take it or not. I can see other uses for it, but we'll see. All right, so moving on. We've already talked about my Enlightened Quilt, how much I like it. This is the 20-degree Enlightened Quilt. You know, I've got some reservations about the temperature rating on the quilt. It's getting to be cold here in Ohio. I'm going to have to get out, and I'm just going to have to work on my system. I don't want to have to buy another quilt, you know, maybe a 10-degree or a 0-degree quilt. But if I have to, I will. I did purchase a silk liner for a couple reasons. One, the silk liner just protects the inside of my sleeping bag. But also, it adds about 10 degrees of warmth to the sleeping bag. So that gets me down to 10, you know, and supposedly that is the EN rating, which is the European rating, which is a little different than what we do in the United States for sleeping bag ratings. The sleeping bag rating in the United States is set up so if it says 20 degrees, it will keep you alive at 20 degrees and keep you from getting hypothermia. It won't keep you from getting frostbite. It won't keep you from doing damage to yourself, but it'll keep you alive at that temperature. But the European rating is actually a comfort temperature. So at 20 degrees, a typical male, and it's very important because they list different ones for males and females, but a typical male dressed appropriately with underlayers on should stay warm down to 20 degrees in that quilt. So we'll see. Again, I've augmented it with a silk liner. I have tons of sleep gear that we'll go over when I do my clothes and my jackets and things like that. But I did include these down booties. These are the Z-Packs down booties made by Feathered Friends for Z-Packs. They weigh 1.1 ounce, and I like them. They're very comfortable. So I'm just going to use those to augment my my sleeping bag, just to keep my feet from getting cold. If your feet get cold, at least for me, if my feet get cold, then it's over. My whole body's cold. So hopefully these are going to help out with that. I can't see me using them the whole time. I probably will send those home at some point, but in the beginning, I'm going to be using those. All right, the next thing on my list is my pillow. This is just an Eros pillow, ultralight pillow, weighs 3 ounces. I do use my stuff sack full of clothes as a pillow too, but I like to have a second pillow as well. So, you know, this may get sent home, but it's only 3 ounces. So, and then my sleeping pad is the Thermarest X-Lite, or I'm sorry, X-Therm. It is a higher R value than the X-Lite. I think it's a 6, an R value of 6, which I've already covered this thing in my other video. But this is an attempt to stay warm along with these other things. You know, my quilt being rated at 20 degrees, this having an R value of 6, my down booties, and a silk liner. So that's my sleep system. and my tent and my backpack. So next up, we'll go over my clothing. Okay, next up is clothing. So we'll kind of start with, I guess, outerwear, and then work our way down through everything. All right, so my down puffy is actually just an REI co-op hooded down jacket. I like it. It didn't get very good reviews from Outdoor Labs and some of those things, but I've had no problems with it. It's a very warm jacket. I've had it now for over a year. It's a very warm jacket. I like it. It's comfortable. My only complaint about it is the hood does not have a cinch strap, so that may make it a little difficult, but I think I can figure it out. But again, I like it. It's lightweight. I think it's 10.6 ounces. And it's very warm. Next is my buff. This is a merino wool buff. I use this for several different things. One, I use it to as a neck warmer during the day while I'm hiking. I use it for all different kinds of things when I'm sleeping. I either put it over top of my clothing stuff sack to make like a pillowcase, or I'll put it around my eyes if it's light out and I want to sleep. So it has a lot of different uses. It can also be used as a hat, a baklava, all kinds of different things. All right, so the next thing I have is possum down gloves from Z-Packs. These are actually made from an invasive species in Australia that they call the Australian possum. It's not really a possum like we have in North America. But anyways, its hair is hollow, so it repels moisture very good and it holds in heat very well. So this weekend, I was at the Ohio State-Michigan State game, and it was about 32 degrees down on the field, but we were up pretty high, so it was windy and cold the whole day, and these things kept me very, very warm. So I really, really like them. So next to them, so this is going to be my glove system. So next to them is the Z-Packs Rain Mitt. So I plan to wear these as long as it's not wet and it's not too windy to keep my hands warm. And then if it does get wet and windy, then I am going to put on the Z-Packs rain mitts. These rain mitts only weigh about an ounce. The gloves only weigh about an ounce. So together, I think they'll make a very good cold weather glove system. So, if not, I'll pick up another set of gloves, but I really think this is going to be appropriate. And then, of course, I got my Z-Packs beanie. All right, so let's go into my rain jacket / hard shell, I guess is the best thing to say, but we'll kind of cover all my rain gear at the same time. This is the Outdoor Research HD, the Helium HD. All right, it's a little different than the Helium 2 that a lot of people are using and a lot of people are wearing, in that it is a little heavier, but it has pit zips and it has zippered hand warmer pockets. To me, that was well worth the extra weight because pit zips to me are very important. And I am actually going to use my Outdoor Research jacket and my puffy together to form my outer jacket layer. So, and I have tested those two together, and it keeps you very, very warm because the HD blocks the wind, and then the down jacket keeps in all the heat. So it's pretty good. All right, so I got two separate things here for my bottoms for rain. I have the Z-Packs Rain Kilt, and I have the Z-Packs Vertice Rain Pants. So my thinking is, in the beginning, I'm going to use the rain pants. All right, and then I'm going to send those home when it gets warm for the kilt. I'm not taking them both with me at the same time. I got the rain pants as another additional layer for warmth, and I just didn't feel that the kilt would give me that. So that's just an additional layer that I can use. All right, next to them are my hiking pants. They're nothing special. They're just Gander Mountain convertible pants. They zip, the legs zip off into shorts. So I really like them. They're comfortable. They're very quick drying, and they're rain resistant or water resistant. Of course, in a hard rain, it's going to soak through. But so that's pretty much my outer layer. Now moving in to my base layers. This is my hiking base layer. These are Patagonia lightweight thermal underwear. I got a top and a bottom. The top is actually going to be my hiking top during the cold weather. Again, I wore these last weekend when it was 32 degrees and we were just sitting in a cold stadium, and they kept me very, very warm. And they're very lightweight. So, moving on to my sleeping layers. These are nothing more than, oh, they're dog hairy too. Nothing more than REI Co-op merino wool. So both the pants and the shirt. So it's a quarter zip shirt, but they're very warm base layers. And again, this is what I'm going to sleep in. So these are actually mid-weight merino wool underlayers. So with both of those sets of underlayers, I have lots of different options to mix and match and things like that, as long as everything stays dry. It's absolutely imperative that you have a dry set of underlayers to sleep in. So, you can't get those wet, but I can swap these out for different temperatures. Next thing is just an Under Armour Tech Tee. Nothing special. There's nothing special, but I have it, and that's what I'm going to bring. So that's going to be my Tech T-shirt that I plan to wear over top of my long sleeve Patagonia shirt. So, all right. So underwear. I actually have, these are just MTA Sport Walmart underwear. They're very good. They keep me dry. They also keep me from chafing. But I also have a pair of ex officios that I'm going to be testing out too and see which one I like the best. The ex officios aren't in here because currently they're in the wash. All right, so next is my socks, which are darn tough socks. I'm actually bringing an extra pair of darn tough socks, so I'll be wearing one and carrying two, and I'm going to do that all through the winter just to make sure that my feet stay nice and warm, and if I need to change during the day, then I'll have a dry pair of socks. These are Injinji toe liner socks. I like them. I've got two pairs, one that I'll be wearing and one that I'll be carrying. They're good. They just help with blisters because they go between my toes. So I do like them. They do make it a little bit bulky, so I had to buy my shoes to fit those, which we'll go over in a second. The next thing, just a bandana, just a simple bandana, nothing special about it. I am just bringing one because I am using ShamWows as well. All right, and then another piece of gear that I can thank Early Riser for. He hiked the trail. He was a big vlogger last year and hiked the trail. These are calf compression sleeves. I'm either going to wear those during the day or at night while I sleep to recover. They just help push the blood and keep the blood flowing so that you don't swell and your feet don't swell and things like that. So I've liked them. I've used them. They do keep my calves and ankles from swelling up. So that's just going to help me in my recovery. So I'll be wearing those. All right, let's move on to footwear. We will start with camp shoes. These are nothing more than Croc knockoffs. I got them at the Air Force Exchange near my house here. They were $12, and that's why I got them. So they're comfortable, lightweight as best as possible. They're still like 11 ounces, which I'm not extremely happy with, but I think they're going to be more versatile. I have a pair of flip-flop type shower shoes that I can switch to during the summer if these become too much. Okay, so let's go over footwear. Oh my goodness, this is a long and twisted story. So these are actually the Ultra Lone Peak 3.5s. I just bought these at REI this last weekend, and I've tested them out on a couple walks and things like that. So far, I like them. I am a big fan of Merrell's, and I wear Merrell footwear at work, and so I wear them every day. But I've just been having a problem when I walk, long distances, especially when I did my 12-mile hike a couple months ago. They're just too narrow, and they just destroy the outside of my toes and the outside of my feet. So I'm trying to find something that's a little better. So I am going to try these out, see how these work. I am concerned about my feet getting cold. And that leads me to the one thing that you're not going to see in my gear list, but that I am still researching and going to buy, and that's a set of gaiters. And I just haven't decided whether I'm going to wear the high alpine gaiters or the lower gaiters. So we're kind of working on that. But that right there is the footwear that I plan to start out with. And then because I'm starting in February, this is one of those items that unless you're starting early, that you're not going to need. And that these are micro spikes. So what these are is they're just traction devices. They will help me when the trail is icy and snowy and things like that, and hopefully keep me from falling. I have read reviews where they're not that necessary, but when you need them, you need them. I think it's pretty important that I have them at least through the Smokies. But they're so heavy. Those weigh 13 ounces, and that is such a weight penalty. So my actual pack weight in the beginning is about a pound heavier than I want it to be, but I am bringing some of these safety and comfort things for the cold weather. So hopefully I'll be able to send those home relatively quickly, but we'll have to see. So that's my clothing setup. I guess next up will be, let's do the cook set. So we'll go through my cooking. All right, so we'll move kind of quickly through some of this because I've already covered this in a previous video. But this is essentially my cook system. All right, I have the Toaks 550 milliliter pot with lid. I like it. It's a perfect size for me because really all I'm doing is freezer bag cooking and things like that, which I've already gone over. Here's a silicone hot lips because I'm going to use that to drink my coffee out of. Here is just some heavy tin foil that I use as a windscreen. Works pretty well. Works good enough for what I need. And then I've got my butane can. I also bought this one. So I'm going to be testing both of these just to see if this big one is too much to carry. Then I'll just go back to the little ones. I think this one is 8 ounces. Oops. Let's see. 230 grams. And this one is 110, I think. So twice the size, twice the weight, but also I get twice the cooking time. So we'll just see. I don't think those things are going to be a problem on the trail, finding fuel and things like that. But I'd rather just be safe than sorry. Of course, my Bic, nothing fancy about that. And then the Pocket Rocket 2 stove. Again, I've covered all these things. If you have questions about them, you can go ahead and go to my other video, and it covers them in a little bit more detail. But that's my cook set. So next we'll move on to my food storage and bear bag kit. Alright, so for food storage, I have the Z-Packs bear bag. I like it. It seems a little small, so I'm also going to carry a another spare dry bag just in case I need it for whatever I need it for, but also for some extra food. Here is the Z-Packs rock bag, and inside that is my bear bagging rope. So that's what I'm going to use for food storage, as well as OP bags. All right, so trying to get back up enough so you can see this. So op sacks are odor-proof bags. They're just thicker material than a standard Ziploc, and they're supposed to be odor-proof. You have to take some precautions with them. You have to be careful that you don't get food on the outside of the bag and things like that, because then it just defeats its whole purpose. But I'm hoping that's going to help keep rodents and things like that out. Also, I'm using it for bears as well, but I'm hoping to keep rodents and things like that out of my food bag. So the next thing I have is my freezer bag cozy, and again, I've covered all this and how it works in my other videos, so if you have questions, please let me know. But essentially, I'm going to be doing freezer bag cooking, and this is how I will be doing that. So I did make this myself out of Reflectix. There's tons of videos out on the internet about how to make them. So if you have questions, I'll refer you to those. All right. So let's see. Next up, I think, is just going to be my miscellaneous and my ditty bag. All right. So one of the things in the miscellaneous category, this is a Z-seat. All it is a thin pad to sit on. It provides some cushion, provides a little bit of warmth. Just keeps your butt dry when you're sitting on wet logs and wet leaves and things like that. I also put this outside my tent as more or less like a welcome mat, so I can wipe my feet and put my feet on and things like that. And then I bring it in at night, and I keep all my stuff on top of it just so it keeps it all handy. But this is very nice, very lightweight, folds up very well and straps to the outside of my pack. But I'm really excited about this piece of gear, and I love it. All right, we'll kind of go over trekking poles. These are the trekking poles I'm using. I mean, I like them. They're Lecky Cristallos. I don't know much about them. The things I like about them are I don't like a cork grip because I don't like the way it feels on my hand, and then it also starts to smell and deteriorate. So this is kind of a hybrid grip. I do like it. These are comfortable. They work well. You know, there's just not much to say about trekking poles, at least in my opinion. With the couple hundred miles that I've got on them, they work fine. I don't have any complaints about them. I have put some duct tape on both of them just to store it and make it a little easier. So, but those are my trekking poles. All right, so this is just what I would call my miscellaneous stuff. So this all goes in my ditty bag, which is just nothing more than a bag to hold a bunch of little stuff. So we'll go over my light first. This is the UCO lithium ion headlamp. This thing is very lightweight. It's very comfortable on your head when you have to use it, and it's very bright. It weighs 1.7 ounces, which is half of what my my Princeton Tech Viz was, and this is brighter. It's also, what I like is it's rechargeable, so that means I don't have to carry spare batteries. When I go over my electronics, I'll show you what I'm using to recharge this, but that is, in my opinion, that's a plus, because not only did I save the weight of the light itself, which is half the weight of the other one, I'm also don't have to carry spare batteries. So, all right, so we'll just kind of start over here. I'm going to carry, I think, just one of these wet fires. It's nothing more than a fire starter, and that's more or less for emergencies or if I want to start a fire. Here is my repair kit. So in my repair kit, I've got a couple different things. I have a couple safety pins. I have some tenacious tape. I also have some Cuban fiber repair tape, dental floss and thread for sewing things up, and then this is a Leatherman squirt. It's just nothing more than a multi-tool, but very small and very lightweight. And then I also have my Thermarest repair kit inside there as well. All right, next up is, this is nothing more than a space blanket. You know, just for the ounce it weighs, it seems like it's worthwhile. It seems like it's you know, just kind of a safety thing. Again, that may be something I send home after the weather warms up a little bit, but you know, we'll see. All right, so here's just a little bit of DEET. This is actually 100% DEET by Sawyer. It's very small, I know, but that's just enough. That's going to be just enough that if I do run into bugs, that'll get me into town to buy a bigger bottle of it. So that's nothing more than, I'm going to wait until I get into the bugs. Hopefully it won't be till Virginia sometime. And then that small bottle will at least get me into town to buy a bigger bottle. This is just nothing more than some chapstick. This is a compressible towel. I only have one of them. I'm just trying them out at the moment. I know those of you who are familiar with these videos and have watched Spielberg's videos, he shows a different type of one. They look like little pills, and they're wet towelettes as well. So I have not found those yet, or I haven't purchased them yet. But I'm just going to try that out to see how that works. Here is my emergency whistle. I really should put that somewhere else other than my ditty bag because I probably won't be able to get to it, but we'll kind of see from there. Here is my first aid kit. Nothing special. I have some antibacterial ointment in there, and I have toenail clippers, some ibuprofen, some Tylenol, and then some KT tape. I like the KT tape instead of medical tape. I can cut it, it stretches, it stays on a lot longer, and I use that for blister prevention, the KT tape. And I can also use it as you can use it to brace your muscles and knees and things like that. All right, this is nothing more than just a little bottle of Dr. Bonner soap, earplugs, some extra sports bottle caps for my smart water bottles because that's how I'm going to be storing my water. And then here is just a little tube of sunscreen. So even though it's going to be winter, it's going to be sunny and there's no leaves on the trees, so there's the potential to get sunburned. Although I don't burn easily, but my ears and my nose do. So I'll just be bringing that. That's probably a lot more than I need, but that's what I'm going to be bringing. All right, so let's go to toiletries next. All right, so here's my toiletries. Probably a little more robust than other folks because I have an issue with chafing on my butt. So, for those of you who have ever had that happen, it has got to be one of the most miserable things in the world. So I have some things that help prevent some of that. Chafing is a big issue on the trail. I also carry Body Glide for other areas like my armpits and between my legs and things. But I don't normally have too much of an issue in those areas. It just seems to be in my butt. So not afraid to talk about it, not embarrassed to talk about it because I can't be the only one who has it. So let's let's move on. Here is the bag I keep all my stuff in. Nothing more than a lightweight nylon ripstop bag. Here is my deuce of spades. Very, very lightweight trowel. The only issue that I've had with it is that the handle, it's uncomfortable to use because it's sharp. So I've wrapped some duct tape around it. That's duct tape I can use for something else. And then also to use as a handle there. All right. These are something I ran across not too long ago called dude wipes. A lot of maybe a lot more packaging involved because they're each individually wrapped, but they're very good. They're very comfortable to use. They have, I guess, vitamin E in it. I don't know what that does for your butt, but they're very nice. And these are nothing more than wipes, and I buy them in a box that big, and I just take some out and take them with me. I will be taking these with me on the trail because the type of toilet paper that you take with you, this stuff is cheap, and it doesn't do a good job of keeping you clean. So start with this and finish with that. All right, so here's what we were talking about. This is Dr. Boudreaux's butt paste. This stuff is the best in the world. It's like a diaper rash cream, and it works great. I've tried the anti-monkey butt stuff, and it's good too, but this stuff works the best. And again, it's Boudreaux's butt paste. And a little goes a long way. And I've repackaged it into to one of these smaller bottles to use. So that's my toiletries. Nothing special about those. And we'll move on to, let's see, how about water treatment? All right, coming up next. All right. So this is my water treatment system and my water storage system, I guess is the best way to say it. So we'll kind of start to the left here. I use a smart water bottle with a sport top on it. It's just easier to handle. I can use it to back flush my Sawyer filter. I carry a 1 liter bottle and then this 0.75 liter bottle. So next to it is my Sawyer squeeze. I use this in a gravity type system using my Evernew bag and a tornado tube. If you'd like to see how that works, I've got a great video. My last video on the TVT talks about how I use all of this and how well it works. So I'll refer you to that video. And then I don't know if you want to call it backup or what, but I'm bringing Aquamira as well. My plan is that I'm going to use Aquamira exclusively for the first month or so. It's going to be very cold when I start out. Again, I'm starting out mid-February, so I'm very concerned about my Sawyer squeeze freezing. So my plan is to not use it. So I may not even initially bring the Sawyer squeeze with me. And then just have my wife send it to me later and start out with the Aquamira. I still will bring I'll still bring my Evernew bag. Which I really like this bag. It's very tough. So I still may bring that, but I will probably leave the Sawyer filter and the tornado tube at home until it warms up a little bit. All right, so Aquamira. The way Aquamira works is you mix equal parts A and parts B together, and it reacts, and then you use that to treat your water. So my plan is, and this is, I don't know if it's controversial, but it goes against the way Aquamira says to use it. But what I plan to do is every morning I am going to mix a larger quantity, enough to treat at least 3 or 4 liters of water in this smaller tube, this smaller bottle. All right, and then this smaller bottle, it'll react in there and it'll be ready to use. So instead of stopping for long periods of time when it's cold out, trying to filter my water or trying to wait for the Aquamira to activate, I am just going to keep a small bottle of already activated Aquamira solution, so that way I can just drop it right into my bottles and keep moving. So I got this idea from a couple different places on the internet. You can read up on it. Early Riser did some of it, although he didn't cover it too much in detail. But I am going to use this primarily in the beginning. And if it's easier, I just may keep using it. Who knows? It's tough to say. But anyways, so that is my water treatment system in a nutshell. Not much to it. I wanted to keep it simple. All right, let's see. What will we move on next to? How about electronics? All right. Okay, one other thing as part of my water storage system that I didn't go over is on the Appalachian Trail, a lot of the water sources are just barely trickling or they're small puddles, so you need some kind of scoop, a scoop to fill up your bag. And again, I covered this in my last video, but I got this idea from Chris Goes Outdoors, which is a fantastic YouTube channel if you haven't watched it. He was one of the later finishers, so he gave me my AT fix a little later in the year, but for some reason he didn't get as many subscribers as Early Riser or any of those guys, but I think he's just as good as all of those guys. His videos are fantastic. He's a personable guy, and he's put out a lot of videos on gear and things like that. But one of the things I picked up from him was this. So instead of using, a lot of people will cut the bottom off of a water bottle, all right, to about right there, and use that as a scoop. But that piece is hard to store. It's hard to find a spot to fit that in your pack without smashing it and breaking it. So from him, I got this. You take a Sawyer bag, which comes with every one of your Sawyer filters, and I don't use this bag to filter my water, and I just cut it off at the top. So this is my scoop. So it's no better, no worse than than scooping with a water bottle, but this is 10 times easier to store. So it's so much easier to keep it and hold on to it. All right, so that finishes up my water storage and water filtration. All right, so let's kind of go over my electronic setup. It's pretty simple, and I've tried to keep it that way. The phone I'm using, which I'm using to videotape this, is the Samsung Note 8, which is the one that doesn't catch on fire. I like it. I've had the Note 4 and the Note 5, so I do like it. And I actually switched it from a Google Pixel, which I did not like. The phone I'm using here, it has a ton of storage, but it has the ability to add external storage from a micro SD card, which I have done. So because, like I said, I plan to videotape the whole thing, take a lot of pictures, and I did not want to run out of room. And in that same vein, I have got a very large Anker charger. This is the 20,000 milliamp charger. I can actually charge my phone 6 times with this. So that should give me 7 days worth of charge, because you figure if you're coming out of town, your phone's going to have a full charge on it anyways, and then 6 additional charges with this Anker. So like I said, I plan to videotape a lot. I'm using my phone for the Gut Hooks app, so I just don't want to run out of power. These are nothing more than just the headphones that came with it. I will use these when I am recording video, because the microphone works much better than just using the one on the phone. Much better for wind and things like that. Then I've just got miscellaneous charging cables. This charging cable right here will charge the Anker battery and my headlamp. And then this charges my, this is a mini USB, and this is a USB-C fast charger to charge my phone. It also will fast charge the Anker battery with this cube and this cord. So not too much. I wanted to keep my electronics simple. The one thing I'm going back and forth on is whether I'm going to bring my Kindle. I am still kind of leaning towards bringing it, although it's not here. It's just a Kindle Paperwhite, nothing fancy. In the beginning, in February, March, early March, you're going to be spending, or I'm going to be spending up to 12 hours in my tent at a time. I can't sleep for 12 hours, so I need something to be able to occupy my mind and something to do so I don't go crazy. And I like to read, so so I will probably bring my Kindle. Although my phone is plenty big enough to do it, to read on my phone. It's just not as I don't like it as much. So, but we'll see. In the trying to save some weight, I may use my phone. So, all right, so we'll kind of go there, and I'll just kind of mop up with some miscellaneous stuff that I haven't covered anywhere else, and then that will be the end of my gear video. All right. All right, so kind of last, but certainly not least, we'll go over some of the things that that should have probably made it into the other one. One of them being, should have been in my electronics, is this is my mini tripod. I like it. It works out very, very well. It's made by Joby. It's Joby Gorilla, and it comes with a mount for my phone. I can bend this, attach it to a tree, do all kinds of things. My last video that I did on my Q&A, this is what I used. So it's very lightweight. It's only a couple ounces. So we'll see. I'm going to bring it in the beginning, and then we'll kind of see how it goes from there. Because I would like to do some shots of, you know, setting up camp and things like that, because those are the videos I wanted to see when I was watching. All right, so there is the last of the electronics. All right, so just miscellaneous bags. I have 2 medium Z-Pack stuff sacks, dry bags, actually, not stuff sacks, dry bags. And one for my clothes and one for my quilt and my liner, so it keeps everything dry. I know I'm using a pack liner, but I'm just paranoid. From my years in the Marine Corps, I know what it's like to have a wet down sleeping bag and wet clothes to sleep in, and it's just miserable. And in the mountains, in the Appalachian mountains, it could be deadly. So I'm taking extra precautions to make sure none of my stuff gets wet. Also, this is just an additional dry bag that I am going to bring. Again, I talked about earlier with my food bag. If I have overflowing food or snacks or things like that, I want to have a dry bag to be able to put in and hang up with my bear bag. And then I covered my Giddy bag already, but this is the bag that I use. It's nothing more than a lightweight Sea to Summit 4-liter dry bag, and that's what I keep just all my miscellaneous loose stuff in. So I think that's it with my gear video. I've got stuff laying everywhere now. It's time to clean up. Believe it or not, all of this stuff does fit in my pack. And with all the gear that I've shown you today, my base weight is 16 pounds. So that's again about a pound heavier than I wanted. I wanted it at 15 pounds. But with micro spikes and some of the cold weather gear and especially the extra liner that I had to bring, that pops it up over. So I'm hoping to be able to send that stuff home and get my weight back down to a base weight of around 15 pounds, and then during the summer actually get it down to around 12. So, all right, if there's any questions, as usual, please put them in the comments. And also, if you have not subscribed to my page, please hit the subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. And thank you very much, and we will see you soon. My next video will be probably another shakedown hike here coming up soon, a cold weather shakedown hike. And then we're less than 100 days to go. So, all right, out here.